Absolutely. And we can start with that. Absolutely today.
Great.
Okay, so we are streaming to YouTube. So thank you everyone for your amazing, amazing feedback. You are really taking it in. And today we've got another really powerful day. And so today, as we talk about the third chakra in this Unblocked series, I'm going to be reading you some sections from the book Unblocked, which is my second book, came out with Hay House in 2013. And this Unblocked series is a just totally free series for you guys here in the Zoom room with me. And for those of you that are joining us in this live stream on YouTube, to walk you through these 4 chakras. So today we're talking about the third chakra. We're building on the last 2 classes that we have. So of course I'm going to be referring to those because everything builds and arrives at the third chakra. But some of the energies that we're going to talk about today is how we deal with emotional manipulation, how we deal with narcissists, how we deal with people that are not in their power and you might not even think of as an emotional manipulator or as a narcissist, which sounds really bad, but they don't have enough of their own belief in themselves and their own empowerment to ask for directly what they want. And instead, they use things like guilt or fear to get what they want. I often think of this in terms of our own children, right? I remember my daughter saying when she was, maybe about 3, I was trying to get her to transition from taking baths into showers. And she said, if you make me do that, I'm not going to be your best friend anymore. And I was like, wow, someone heard something at preschool today. And so the ability to stand in our power calmly with composure and certainty and deal with other people who are emotionally manipulative or future situations where we are afraid that people are going to be emotionally manipulative or bring fear or intimidation or criticism. So today we really build on the other 2 chakras, but this is a way of, I've been teaching this for a long time. Obviously, I've been doing this for 18 years, but I wanted to bring a different element of the third chakra in this round and in the next series I'm doing, which is really for people who want to coach or are coaches or therapists who want more tools to learn how to use these techniques with your clients. So this series is about you. I'm going to teach and we're going to do some tapping. So we are going to go probably about 90 minutes total from when we started, because I don't want you to miss out on the tapping that really brings it all together. So yeah, there's often somebody, thank you, Samara, that is in like, wow, this is exactly what I needed today. And when we think about success and going towards a goal, whether your goal is to march in and ask for a raise to get more money or to have a different job, or your goal is to step up and suddenly, create a business or double your business or grow your business or put yourself out there, as we often say, as coaches, I got to put myself out there. Or even if your goal is to get healthier, right? To change your eating habits or to exercise more, those goals require us to come into contact with people who will observe, interact, and react to you on your journey to success. And so at the third chakra, we don't even realize it, but this level of consciousness at the third chakra is this awareness that when I take this action, it's not just a feeling inside. At the third chakra is where it shows up because it's in my words and how I show up and what the things that I do, my actions, is that we have this level of consciousness about how other people are going to react to how we are holding ourselves, our level of confidence, and the actions that we're taking. And so if you are endeavoring to do something big, especially if it's like, I want to become a coach or I want to grow my coaching business, you're going to come across more people, and that increases our need to have confidence in ourselves, that I can deal with difficult people. I can deal with a difficult client or someone who is a new colleague who is difficult, that is asking me to do too much or taking too much or pressuring me too much, or I go into a negotiation about something, and I have to have more confidence in myself that I can handle it. Like I can handle naysayers. I can handle difficult people. So if you're not sure about that right now, know that that's what we're going to be talking about today. And it really is the element of the third chakra. So, so let's start talking about third chakra. Are we ready to jump into that? And I will touch on the assessment as well today. It's a self-assessment. There's one for each of the four chakras. And so I'll talk about that third chakra assessment as well. And the questions, the assessment questions probably will make more sense after we've had this discussion. However, let me start with that first question. So if you're joining us in YouTube, you may not know that we had a question which comes up so often. And as Bethany was speaking to everyone's comments here, she said, wow, we get this question, over and over, which is, Margaret, why do you stop at the fourth chakra? Why do you do chakra 1, 2, 3, and 4? And then what about the other chakras? Well, let me just say that in Unblocked, I do explain that. I talk about the upper three chakras, but in general, it's because the lower chakras is where all the problems and blind spots are. So it's one thing to have a problem, but you exacerbate, you accelerate, you grow that problem by that problem also having a blind spot, right? Because we can't fix what we don't know. And so the lower chakras sets up the problems that we have that carry all the way through the system. And so I find that dealing with the biggest blind spots at first and second chakra, and then starting to educate people and have them make changes at their third chakra, and then finally dealing with the heart chakra, which is a very unique operation because it involves the mind and the way we treat ourselves. When we do those things, the upper chakras follow suit. And so the upper chakras, your fifth chakra, your sixth chakra, your seventh chakra, these aren't big battery packs. They don't have a massive amount of power. Your thinking cannot power your life. And so I said the first problem is that the lower chakras, they have the issues and the blind spots. But the second part of it is the lower chakras are basically what everybody wants more of, what they are asking for when it comes down to it, even through their thinking or through their scheming or through their achieving or they're trying to be perfect. The second chakra and the first chakra are the things that people want. The power at the third chakra are the things that people ask for that seem impossible to deliver on. Things like, I want to feel more joy. Operative word, feel. I want to feel more, period. Alive, excited, enthusiastic, confident. Or sometimes, as some of you learned from the inner child work that we've done already, I just want to feel safe. I just want to feel like I'm finally good enough, which means I'm finally safe. I just want to feel like I'm just not as worried, which means I feel safe, I feel secure. And so, or even loved, because people can be trying to pour their love into us and we can have a handout energetically. So I want to feel more love and more connection, which is heart chakra. That is a feeling, and it doesn't come from working more on the mind. Or the vision or your vision board, which are all, powerful, positive things. But your thinking is not enough to power your life. We talked about, in the first chakra of this Unblocked series, that we've all had professors or teachers who were just boring and monotone, but really, really smart. And they're talking up here, and they're usually their eyes are up there too, like I'm doing now. And you don't feel that passion that draws you in. So we can have a really smart mind and not be able to have to move people, to action, to move people to be inspired, to move people to say, I really do think I can change right now. And so the lower chakras is where we get the feeling. It is also the key to courage. You cannot think your way to courage. It's the key to the word that we use called charisma, which is sort of like this bucket of things we understand but are hard to describe, right? This just charisma, this charismatic energy does not come from the mind. It comes from the lower chakras, mostly from the second chakra and the third chakra. And so these lower chakras are so important and they really set the tone. So as you'll hear me talk about today, what's the problem with the third chakra? The first chakra and the second chakra. And those problems, those maladaptive thinking or behaviors or automatic behaviors or limiting beliefs, those have infected, risen up and infected the development of the third chakra. So when we extend that to the upper chakras, the first chakra is controlling almost all of our chakras. It controls what I say, the way I speak. Or I speak my family's truth or the truth of my fears. It affects the way I see the world. If my first chakra is like, I'm not really that safe, my sixth chakra, which is supposed to expansively see the vision for me and how I fit in that vision, like, oh, I can do it. I see the plan. Instead, it spends most of its time scrutinizing the self because that's a way to stay safe, right? If I'm perfect, I'm safe. And scanning the horizon for danger. Who else could criticize me? Who will criticize me if? And here's a sea of people who are going, great job. And one person who's like, and that's what my sixth chakra is going to latch onto. And so when we change the first chakra and the second chakra, we start to change all of the chakras above. And the upper chakras are actually a little bit easier to shift because they're following through. Even the seventh chakra, like my view of God, of the universe, of infinite possibility is actually limitation, right? So a lot of religions, you'll hear Deepak Chopra talk about, most religions are first chakra religions. It's rules and fear. If you break the rules, you're going to hell. And if you are good, maybe, most cases, but sometimes not, can be random, God loves you. Right? There's lots of stories and it's like, but that person was doing everything right. Why did they have to suffer so much? And so that first chakra can control the seventh chakra. This is how I see God. I was raised Catholic, and maybe it was just in my little Catholic school with my little nuns who seemed very unhappy to be there, that my view of God, I mean, there was this Jesus character on the side who seemed nice to children. But my view of God was that he was very scary and mean, and you did not want him seeing you because he was looking for your faults all the time, and you would be punished, right? And so you had to feel scared and guilty that God might be watching. And so that is a first chakra view of even the infinite, omnipotent rightness of your understanding of God or the universe. And so these working at the first chakra and recognizing how much we can be bypassed with fear. This is my life's work, people. It's like I will go from every mountaintop to talk about the first and second chakra because it's where it all starts. So let's talk about the third chakra because I know you all want to hear about emotionally manipulative people and narcissists and how to deal with them, or how to deal with what I might come across in the future and have to be in a negotiation with or set a boundary with, or maybe you have a little tyrant in your life right now. Maybe it's someone that's related to you that you need to deal with, or, a boss or a coworker or a sibling, right? Someone in our family sometimes is the tyrant. So when we talk about third chakra, so you guys have got a lot of feedback there on the chat. Thank you. When we talk about the third chakra, we come into the adult world. And so at third chakra, it's really the chakra where we start to adult, right? Even a 7 or 8 or 9 year old, right? I used to make sweeping the porch a game for my daughter, and she was out there furiously sweeping, right? And she felt so grown up, and I would like, you did a great job. And she was like very proud of herself. And so that third chakra is this adult moment where we have to own this leadership energy, and we have to own the differentiation of us versus someone else. Like, actually, what I really want is. And so instead of it just being a feeling at third chakra, it comes into an action that we take, whether it's just what we said, and how we comport ourselves, how we stand there in that energy. And are we doing that from this leadership perspective? Like, I'm in charge of me, and I understand that actions have consequences, and yet here I am. So at third chakra, we see the hardest things that we need to do as adults. I mentioned in the book, the comedian Jerry Seinfeld saying, if you're at a funeral, most of the people in the room would rather be in the casket than having to get up to speak. That's how intense the fear of public speaking is. And so these difficult things that we need to do as an adult, say no when other people don't want us to say no, or say yes to something when other people don't think we should get to say yes. So we come into contact directly with the potential reactions of other people to what you are doing, how you are acting. And this is the most important part. You ready? What you are doing and how you are acting, what you are saying, and what that reveals about how you feel about yourself. That's the scary part, is it reveals my second chakra, how I feel, what I really want, what I'm really passionate about, what I'm really excited about. And whenever we reveal, or how valuable I think I am, whenever we reveal something at the second chakra, we will feel vulnerable, and it will feel risky. So, do I feel solid in my intention? Like, this is what I want, and I'm not embarrassed about it, and I think I deserve it. Do I feel solid, right? Hear that first chakra, solid in what I deserve. And I want you to link together safety and deserving. When we feel deserving, safety doesn't even come up. We're like, what do you mean safe? I deserve it. I just know I do. We're solid, we're certain. But safety and deserving are very, very connected, because if it feels unsafe to seem or act deserving, or reveal that I actually even want something, then we won't do it. We will doubt instead. And so self-doubt, I think of it as a third chakra energy. It's like, no, 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 I need something to protect me from taking a dangerous action, something that feels really risky. And so I'm going to doubt myself. And then what does doubt make us do effectively? We stop. If I doubt myself that I can do it or that I'm going to be successful, I freeze. I stop. I stop doing whatever I'm going to do. It's an effective stopper. What does guilt do? If I'm afraid that when I say my prices, I am going to feel so guilty in front of those people, I won't do it. What does shame do? If someone's going to shame, go, wow, you must think you're great. What, charging that much money or putting yourself out there like that? Oh, you must think you're big stuff being on a video. Shame makes us stop. And so these are all different ways that different chakras you are processing the fear, the unknown. I don't even remember why I'm afraid at the first chakra. At the third chakra, it looks like it feels like guilt. I'm going to feel guilty if I do that. And this spinning in the head of I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. And so this is really where we see fraud syndrome. And as I start out this chapter in Unblocked, I wanted to read you something here. Just in the beginning of this chapter, chapter 9, on the third chakra, it's page 117, for those of you who want the page number. What most people miss about the universal problems of inertia, stuckness, right? Procrastination, being overly distracted, or self-sabotaging with self-doubt, or do I deserve it, or fraud syndrome, is the level of risk. When we experience any of these issues, it simply means the risk of taking that action is too high. The first chakra is in control of the system. And so when the first chakra blind spot is, I don't even realize that it's a fear, I can get all sorts of tied up and why am I procrastinating? What is wrong with me? Oh, I'm such an idiot. Why do I do this? And it's because I'm not taking action, blocked third chakra. It's actually a first chakra issue, right? It will stop us in our tracks. So I'm going to read a little bit more here on page 119, right? And so when three chakras are supposed to work as one, I say what separates the risk takers from those who play it safe. In my book, risk taking is not defined by the actual degree of danger, but by how safe or unsafe any given person feels with that same risk. So you could have somebody who's up on stage, right, in front of 1,000 people, feel just as risky as someone who's, walking on a wire over a live volcano. There's this thin line between real time and remembered danger, what I call the old hot stove moments. The moments where I did something and I got criticized or I got shamed. That creates a fear in the system. And so we might not know why we have fear of public speaking or why we don't like to be in a confrontation or why it's too scary to ask for, even to the partner who loves us, what we really want or what we really feel. That's the blind spot. We don't remember that there's a fear or a shock that was involved when we tried it once. So the first, second, and third chakras are interdependent. When the first chakra is full and it tells us without a doubt, we are, of course, intrinsically deserving and have the right to pursue what we want. It's like the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's first chakra. You have the right to pursue what we want. Then the second chakra fills with this passion, this urge, this desire, this impulse. I got to do this. And then that helps us push the third chakra through any potential risks or like, I've never done this before, which means it can be risky. I might look like a fool. I might not do it right. But there's so much passion and fuel and desire and yes in the second chakra that it pushes it through, right? It's like we boldly go after what we want. But when the fear of breaking your tribal rules, so that your earliest tribe is your family, right? That fear at the third chakra will feel like guilt. It's a powerful and uncomfortable feeling that tells us that what we're thinking about doing, not even done yet, just possibly considering, like when a coach says, I'm going to have you raise your prices, and you're like, or you need to go ask for a raise, and you're like, even thinking about doing something is bad, is just bad. And it's going to give me this icky, anxious, yucky, embarrassed, ashamed, guilty. I don't know. It just feels like I'm going to die right now feeling. And so guilt will shut down our third chakra action and confidence center. Because at the third chakra, it's where you take all that energy and you put it into use. And so half the time, again, this speaks to the blind spot from the lower chakras, we don't realize that guilt is even driving us because we are, and you will find this with clients, for those of you that are coaches, right? They don't realize guilt's playing. They're like, I don't feel guilty, because they're just scrupulously avoiding doing anything that will trigger the guilt, right? So as long as I'm making everybody sandwiches, I don't feel guilty. It's when I say no, as I mentioned last time, Bethany and I we've been doing these big 3-day live streams for women coaches. by saying, I'm not helping anyone for 3 days. I am going to be immersed in my business. That can be really hard and challenging for certain people, right? It's like I already feel guilty doing that. So understanding that what's under my self-doubt, my brain is telling me you're just not ready. It's actually fear. So it's always the risk of being exposed as selfish, as who do you think you are, as you don't deserve that. And that gets drawn out as soon as I act like I deserve it. So again, we come into contact directly. I'm going to repeat my earlier sentence, right? With the reactions of others to what we do, say, how we act in a way that reveals something about how we feel about ourselves, about what we deserve, about what we want. And that reveal, you think about the word reveal, right? Reveal means I am now here revealed. I'm vulnerable. And so often I will find people who can't figure out why they won't market themselves or put themselves out there or do public speaking, right? It's because they've had this lifelong vow that says, I'm never going to be vulnerable like that. Never going to let it be vulnerable. Never going to let people really see who I am or what I want. And that came from somewhere, right? We didn't just make it up. It's a reaction that says, this is how I protect myself. And the protect myself, because if you question people, they'll go, well, that's how I protect myself. And there you heard it. Protect from what? There is a danger. There is a risk. There is a fear. So here's another important part. This is bottom of 121. I wanted to read you, which is that if you want to see someone's third chakra get activated, have them set a goal. Set a goal yourself. Goals that push us out of our comfort zone and require breaking the rules of the past, overstepping certain boundaries. Those kind of goals will start to feel worrisome. We begin to focus on that negative expectation. What if I get criticized? What if nobody likes my ideas? What if nobody even cares? What if people reject me? What if they become jealous of me? I hear that one a lot. Like, it's the same thing. I expect this really aggressive negative reaction. It can sound innocuous, like, oh, people are going to be jealous of me, but jealousy is a battle, right? That jealousy has action in it. Jealousy means they're going to do something. And so we take the learnings that we have from personal growth, right? What does all the gurus tell you? That it's your actions are driven by your thinking and your emotions. And that leads to actions. And we learn about that all the time. I'm sure how many people have learned that, right? Just like say, yes, me on the chat, that it's your actions and how your thinking and how you're feeling drives actions, right? So yes, so isn't that amazing? Like, wow, I have to change how I think and feel, and that'll affect my actions. But if you turn it around, the implicit knowing that you have about that is that if someone is thinking or feeling something negative towards you, your nervous system has a fear that they might act on it. So they're criticizing me at the basic nervous system, first chakra reptilian brain level, they might attack me. If they don't like it, if they reject me, that could lead to death, to pain, to the pain of abandonment, to the pain of rejection, the pain of being left alone. Jealousy, for sure. That there's they might act on that jealousy. And how do people act on jealousy? It's never good, right? That means they're going to undermine you. So you may have learned that, like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, right. But your body, your nervous system, your first chakra's level of consciousness understands implicitly that if I see that person in the back of the room like this, making faces that they're scowling at me, my system and all the other people look okay and smiling, my system has a sense like that's the one person that's dangerous. Because what if they act on that? What if they start to whisper and tell everybody, right? Like, oh, she's no good, or I know her from before and she's a fraud. And so we have those fears that sometimes not we don't even recognize. We're just trained to have that guilt or that shame or that anxiety, like, well, and my brain starts going, I know why I'm anxious because I'm not ready. I need to be more perfect. And then we stop. We stop. And so even the thought of acting from a new place and going to a goal is so triggering because we have to usually to get there. It's not our daily life. It's like if your goal is, I want to live the same day every day, no worries, right? If your goal, how many people have the goal of, I want to live the same year of 2024? I'm just going to wait to see if there's anybody on the chat. Like, no, right? Hell's to the no, right? And so, but when and by the way, we have people in our life, they're like, I'm fine. I go to work every day, I come home, I live my life, right? That's totally fine. But if you're, Christina really went there, she's a fellow Massachusetts girl. Thank you for that, Christina. Um, and so when we have a goal which says, no, I want to go here, it's going to require me to do new, different things that are not part of the comfort zone of my daily life, right? And so that comfort zone that we hear all about is us living our everyday life. And when we stay there, our life is going to go on the same. But goals trigger discomfort, actions and steps that will be in a vacuum, they might be fine, right? I remember, going to do my first talks 18 years ago, or even in corporate when I did workshops, I'd be like, part of me will be like, well, maybe on the bright side, I remember thinking like, what if nobody comes, right? Oh my God, that would be so embarrassing. And then another part of me would be like, well, that would sure take the pressure off. And then I'd be like, yay, maybe nobody comes and the risk is lower, right? And so we have to do things that are going to bring us out of that comfort zone in order to get to the goal. And so goals are a great way to see it, and pushing someone to think about the steps towards their goal, and then they get even more uncomfortable, as some of you may be in that space. All it's doing is shining a light on the real fear underneath. And so part of why I talk about this so much is because the very first thing people do when they feel like I'm procrastinating, I'm not doing it, or even why am I such a chicken? Why am I so afraid? Is to beat themselves up, which is to beat themselves up for it and say all manner of things. So just tell me on the chat, what do you say to yourself when you're procrastinating? When you look back and go, I've got nothing done and I wanted to get so much done and I said I was going to do it, but I haven't done it. What do you say to yourself exactly? Yeah, what is wrong with me? The most common thing, right? Something's wrong with me. I'm weak. I hate myself. I'm so irresponsible. And so again, when we come back to first chakra, is that what you would scream at a scared child? Look at the chat. Is that what you would scream at a scared child? At a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, at a 15-year-old? And so remember that your first chakra is not an adult energy as much as your third chakra is. Your first chakra is more like a child. It is very reactive and very reptilian, right? Life or death, life or death, life or death. And so I'm so passionate about talking about it because if I can change one person's mind to say, wow, when I'm freezing or holding back or undercharging or giving in or procrastinating, I'm actually scared about something. And that fear does not need a whipping or a whooping, right? If you're from the South and in the United States, a whooping. That fear does not need a whipping. It doesn't need punishment. It needs to be taken care of, right? It needs to be soothed. It needs to be heard. It needs to be honored. so that your system goes, oh, okay. Again, this is why I use this tapping technique, because very quickly I can tell my nervous system so directly, I'm okay, and calm myself down. So again, third chakra, do I feel solid when I come into a new situation or a conversation with a difficult person? Getting back to our emotionally manipulative people. Do I feel solid in my intentions, first of all, right? And what I want here? My motivation. Have I sat with that? Do I feel solid in that? Or do I half even understand my own motivation? Secondly, do I feel solid in my worthiness, my deserving, which means I feel safe. Safety and deserving go together. Not many people make that connection, but I want you to make that connection. Because if I don't feel deserving, it will feel unsafe to ask for more money, for example, right? It's too fraught. So do I feel solid in my intentions and then my worthiness and deserving, even in the context of another person hearing it, listening, and their needs and what they want? So not just me alone in my office. Yeah, I think I deserve it. When I'm confronted with another person who's waiting for me to tell them my prices, for example. Or does the thought of acting from that place, from that worthy deservingness, I deserve it place, trigger guilt, trigger fear, trigger self-doubt, trigger beliefs that comport? So this is where we go to a belief and say, oh, well, I don't want to disempower anybody, or I don't want to think I'm better than someone else. Okay, that belief makes a lot of sense. Okay. And now I'm sort of using that belief to justify the fear I already have. And this is what so many people miss about getting down lists of limiting beliefs, is that the limiting belief is an outcome of the fear that's already there. Got that? It's an outcome. That's why we're changing the body and the mind changes. It's a result. So many people, and I get why, we didn't have these more advanced techniques before. And so there was only one way to look at it, which is change your mindset, stop thinking that thought. And so they think of limiting beliefs or as negative beliefs as the beginning. And it's not. It's the outcome of the blind spot of the fear of the first chakra that's creating this thinking. And now I have, depending on how strong and stubborn and smart my mind is, I've attached myself to that belief really tightly. And it lets me, it lets me be in this way, right? So, and so now we come to when that, even the thought of that action um, triggers this fear that we have that can turn into I feel guilty or I feel bad, and then a rule like, well, I'm supposed to be nice to people, right? You're supposed to be giving. Um, what we will do is obey in advance. We will accommodate in advance. We will not show up that way. It's a form of accommodating, behaving, obeying in advance. And so now I show up, and this is where we have that expression, playing smaller than I am, or people pleasing. By the way, the things that we're going to hate ourselves for later, but we show up that way and we don't know why we're doing it, right? And so we obey in advance, we accommodate in advance. Maybe we just say, you know what, I'm just going to let other people talk. And I went, but I never actually did what I said I was going to do. I never introduced myself to anybody. Or we stay quiet and we play the role that feels more comfortable to play. And so what is manipulation by someone else? What is emotional manipulation? It always comes from a place where I cannot ask directly for what I want. right? So I'm going to talk about this a little bit more right now because I know it's a topic of great interest, and we really feel it at the third chakra. So I want to say that again. All emotional manipulation at its core is I can't ask directly for what I want. So I need to manipulate a way to get there. So you could think of yourself if you are like just a world-class prover, right? Like I will work overtime. I will do 10 times more than the next person. And women tend to be raised that we have to do that. We have to do 10 times more to prove that we are equal to, the same actions or behavior or job performance as a man, right? And that's been around for a long time. And so in a way, that's sort of emotional manipulation. I can't ask directly to just be paid my worth or to be given the authority that I should have at this level of my job. So I can't really ask for it. So I'm going to do and 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 then hope and maybe resent. Right. But when we think about it from another person who is a little bit more nefarious, they can't ask for directly what they want. So they have to use an emotional manipulation. So we go on the range now from someone who's really nefarious in your life, someone who's really mean to you, really a jerk. They can't just say, you know what I would love? I would love for your self-esteem to be knocked down a few pegs. I'd like you to feel shitty about yourself. Or I would like you to mold your behavior to benefit me in a lot more ways. I would like you to doubt yourself and listen to me so I can get more things out of you. They can't say that. It would be overt and obvious, and you would be like, wait, what? Right? And so they can't come out in the open and openly say, I want you to feel bad about yourself, or I want you to do more things for me than you're willing to do for yourself. So they have to emotionally manipulate. Now, somebody else might not be a nefarious character, right? It might be your ever-loving, mom or stepmom or mother-in-law or father-in-law, right? Who's never been taught empowerment. So they've had to go through their life basically passive aggressive. And if they want you to visit more, they can't just say, I would like you to visit more. It would mean a lot to me, and I'm a little bit lonely. They have to say, well, I'm sure you're just too busy to visit me, and your life is just so much bigger than not, me here, and don't worry about me, I'll be fine. And you're like, So they can't ask directly. They're not necessarily nefarious, but that's how we do it. And this can be turned into nagging of our children where we're really frustrated and we're saying things like, I've done all this for you. And I just, when we're saying those kinds of things, where it's more of an emotional manipulation, we're hoping that they feel guilty and then that causes them to take the required behavior just like it would have for us, right? If you find yourself saying, when I was their age, I could have never gotten away with that. And so when I can't ask directly for what I want, I have two choices left. I either capitulate, right? I accommodate and capitulate, or I have to emotionally manipulate. When I can't reveal directly my intentions, like I would like you to lose this argument because it would be obvious and that's too transparent, right? Now you're going to be in a different conversation, then we have to use a manipulation, right? No, no, no. I don't want, I'm just trying to say, and we try to, use a lot of different ways to not say, I would like you to lose this conversation. And I'm going to barrage you with data until you've realized you've lost it. So when we doubt even our intentions, because we haven't really sat with our own feelings about it, then again, it leaves us in a weaker position. So I want to come back to this word leadership at the third chakra, because at the third chakra, this is where we have the ability to step into our leadership energy personally, that I can show up with a person who is, as a person who is calm, confident, composed, right? Not posturing or being aggressive or collapsing and crying, but being composed, because I feel calm, I feel confident. I might not know exactly what's happening in the conversation, but if I'm uncertain, I take a dramatic pause and I think about it for a minute and I slow down. That is what a leader does. And it gets read. Those are cues that human beings are trigger in their brain, even narcissists, that you have authority when you are thoughtful and you are non-reactive and you are slow to react and you don't take the bait because you're not emotionally charged. And so when it comes to the third chakra, being in this leadership energy, which it sounds great, right? When I describe it, it's like, this is why we hire attorneys, because we can be really upset and the attorney is like completely composed and gets the deal done. And so at the third chakra, in order to have this leadership energy, we have to do the first chakra work on our fears, on all the fear of how someone is going to react. And we also have to do the second chakra work. If I have been enraged and resentful for 30 years at someone, I'm never going to be able to have a leadership type conversation with them, because I am going to be dishonest. I am going to be acting calm and composed when I'm not. I'm enraged and I hate you. Oops, I want to work this out. And so we have to deal with our strong emotions, not just the fear, but all the emotions we have about it. Because some of the emotions might be, and I hate being manipulated. I hate when you make me feel guilty, and I hate when it works. And I hate myself for all the time I've been guilted. We have to move all that strong, reactionary second chakra emotion. And when we do that for ourselves, no, not screaming it in someone's face, for ourselves alone. And if there's a chance that you're doing that kind of tapping where anyone can hear you, I say, leave the house, get in your car, go somewhere. So you can tap in voice, which is incredibly productive. We call it tapping and ranting, if you will. Other people have lovingly called it the FU tapping, where you use that special set of words that moves a lot of energy. And when you do that, you come to a different place at your third chakra. And so, what I love about the third chakra work, teaching the third chakra work, is that this is when everything changes for a coach, a therapist, a practitioner, a new coach, right? Who's learning these things from me from the first time. Because the first and second chakra, we're really dealing with emotions and moving emotions. At the third chakra, we also have to lead someone in a way of working that's not just about, oh, the fear is gone, because we do have to do that, right? There's fear underneath. And it's not just about moving those strong emotions, although we do have to do that. And that takes courage. There's lots of people who've been doing tapping for a long time, and they don't want to sit with that kind of feeling. They don't want to allow their client to really lean in and be like, and you're, as the coach, you're saying, you're tapping with them and you're like, actually, I hate what they did. Did that sound true? And the client's like, oh my God, yes. And I'm going there to get that out. So yes, we have to do that work. But at the third chakra, we have an additional piece of work, which is to now bring into the third chakra the win-win leadership energy of speaking and acting completely differently from this solid space. And you will find it may be you and it may be people you know, have no model for that. They've never done it. They've maybe never seen anyone do it, where they have seen it modeled, this way of being that is confident and slowed down and composed and has a very transparent intention. My intention for this conversation is, and they're not actually holding anything back. It's true. Because the intention has already been cleared and moved of all of my yucky, ugly feelings. Like, actually, I want that person to suffer the way I suffered, right? And so we honor those feelings and those emotions. That's second chakra. So at the third chakra, we also teach people what does it look like to now stand in a conversation with a narcissist, somebody who does not have our best interest, that is literally in our family, and we have to be in relationship with them. Or how do I stand in a conversation with someone that at the end of it might be, okay, so I don't think it makes sense for us to be friends anymore. And we can agree to disagree. And I feel really solid, maybe sad, but solid about my no to you boundary is a yes to me. And this is how I choose to live my life. And you're going to have a reaction to that. And I have to detach from your reaction. And so at the third chakra, we do need modeling. I call it, the third chakra, and you'll see as I start the series next week. And by the way, for those of you interested in this training series I'm doing, that is really for people who want to use this work. We are registering for that starting today. You'll see it in your email. Bethany probably has the sneaky link. If you want to put that on the chat, you can actually sign up right from here. But at the third chakra, in this training, you will get this handout, which is all four chakras and the three places we go. And at the third chakra, I talk about teaching. At the third chakra, we have to relearn what it looks like to carry a different kind of energy. And so I've become kind of famous within my circles over the years of telling coaches not to offer like a free talk or a training workshop on boundary setting, because people will run away faster than you have ever seen them run. Because just saying, I'm going to teach you how to set boundaries creates that obedience in advance. Like, it's like, oh my God, I already know exactly what's going to happen. I try to set this boundary, it's going to go badly. They're going to win. I'm going to lose again. It's not even worth it. And we obey in advance, or we avoid in advance. However, it's such an important ability to know, to say within myself, I know how to deal with really difficult people. I can handle it. It's not going to be fun, unless you want to become an attorney, a trial attorney, like, oh, I can't wait to be in conflict with people. But I have to believe in myself enough. I have to have that knowing that if it comes up, I'll handle it. I know what to do. I can prepare, and I have that leadership strength. And now I trust myself in a whole bunch of different situations, especially situations that are vulnerable making, where I reveal myself, right? Where I reveal myself. I know how to handle it if someone's a jerk. And so it really is like third chakra is very, very practical. It's very adult. It's not just about my needs. It's also about that leadership energy of this, of having this intention in general, that things are a win-win. Even if it's I never see you again, right? Even if it's I set a boundary and you don't like it and you go away hating me, it's a win-win, because I always think it's still better for that person to go away than us staying in this toxic thing where I'm secretly hating them all the time anyway. And so seeing the bigger win-win, whether it's a cosmic win-win that you're like, I may never understand why this is a win-win, but I know this is a yes to me, and this person does not like the boundary, or it's an actual coming together where now you and someone that you really do care about have the most honest conversation, where you are the one that is modeling. You are the one that is modeling this calm, composed space, this way of talking that is more adult than tit for tat or guilting or manipulating and then reacting defensively to being guilted or manipulating, right? Whether it's in the conversation or later, or hating yourself for always capitulating, right? For always accommodating what other people want. So I know that's a big download. It's a lot. As each chakra develops, it's more complicated than the previous one because it develops at an older age. It's more complex. It's more powerful. And so there's power of the third chakra because we can manipulate and guilt somebody and lower their self-esteem if we have that to do in our third chakra. We can do it with a look on our face. Some of y'all may remember being young and like, oh, it was just that look on my mother's face or on my father's face, and I felt it. Right? So we can do that at the third chakra. Yeah, a little bit of the evil eye there. Or we can use our third chakra in ways that lift people up. Instead of just using our third chakra as a workhorse. I work and I work and I prove and I prove and I prove and I prove. Because to stop and ask and say, I think I'm ready and I think I deserve this is too scary, right? It makes us vulnerable. So just talking about this, I want you to just see, how do you feel in your body? Just kind of hearing all this, listening to this. And I mentioned last time Dr. Gabor Mate, which I know some of you know who he is. He's been around for a long time, and he's just an amazing man and speaker. Dr. Gabor Mate was referencing a book that I don't remember the name of, but it was all a book, a woman that was a hospice care. And she wrote a book on the regrets that people had. And the number one regret that people had on their deathbed was that they weren't themselves. That they weren't themselves. And the second one was that they didn't, do what they wanted to do. They didn't live their passion. They didn't do things they wanted to do it their way. They lost their time. And again, this is third chakra. Am I authentically being me, or am I proving something to hope that the me that I am, which is deficient, will finally be like dubbed by an outside party, is finally going to say, you've arrived, Margaret. You're finally there. Except that when people do, often we don't believe them, right? We don't believe them. So kind of feel into your third chakra. And oops, hold on, I'm getting a pop up here. And I want you to just kind of start tapping, like maybe here on your hand or anywhere that you like to tap. And just take a big breath. And I want you to think about some of the things I said here, just as you tap, where I said stepping up, going towards a goal, having which can often bring us in the line of fire of other people, right? Is that if I were to take this confident, I deserve it action towards my goal and show up that way with an increased level of just believing in myself, confident, like not I know everything, but confident in what I know, believing in myself and what I want, what rule would I be breaking? In other words, if I had done that in my house growing up, what rule would I have broken by showing up as confident, sure of myself, and advocating, asking for what I believe I deserve? What would have been the reaction, and what rule would I have broken? And now we're just going to tap. I've developed these rules. Maybe they were spoken to me. Maybe they were never spoken but understood about how I could act and where that action would come from. The thinking, the feeling, the believing that was underneath that action. The motivation that would be interpreted or seen underneath that action. I developed all these rules. And rules always have a threat. Of course they do. Breaking a rule draws out punishment, pain, shock. Whether it was physical pain or criticism or the pain of being shamed or shunned, ignored. My nervous system, my body learned that rule. And my mind has no conception of the consequences my body fears. The life or death consequences, the painful or annihilating consequences. My mind has no concept, the level that my body fears at a reptilian level. I've long forgotten the hot stove moments where I naively revealed something, asked for something, did something, and I was burned. I was shocked because I didn't know how hot that stove was. And that shock stayed with my body. There's a part of me that can still become a small child and can make other people larger than life authorities with the power to cause me great pain and shock. There's a part of me that's really scared of other people, especially if they see me, well, acting differently, acting more sure of myself, more confident, less scared, maybe even more demanding, assertive. There's a part of me that's really scared. That will draw out attack, criticism, and everything criticism means to me, not at a mental level, at a body level. Criticism that can annihilate my worth. Humiliation that to my body feels like death. I honor how little my mind understands. My mind is like, why aren't I doing it? How little my mind understands the fear of other people. If I show up more empowered, more courageous, and they can see underneath that I believe in myself. They could see underneath my I deserve. That feels really vulnerable. Because it will draw punishment. And perfectionism sounds so grown up, but it's just the way that my mind has figured this out in a logical way. But it's not logical. Most people never come across this fear because they simply hold back. And I'm just going to honor that. I can hold back. I don't have to change. I don't have to do anything. And I know what I want means moving forward. Some of that will be outside my comfort zone. And I honor how scary that is. Okay, and take a breath. And after a round of tapping all those tapping points, we're using the words. If you're new to tapping, the words are to keep us tuned in, not just to turn down the nervous system, but to keep reminding the nervous system the fear and that I'm safe. So the words are scary and they're processing and they're integrating. And while we're saying those words, we're tapping on the body to turn down the fight or flight, actually towards, unique things. So we're doing this little dance of words and tapping, and then we take a big cleansing breath. So just kind of check in. And now I want to do a little test, and we'll go another 15 minutes. So if you have to jump off, no worries. You can get the recording, but we'll go a few more minutes. So now I want you to close your eyes, and I want to imagine that this movie screen of your mind could paint you this future picture of you. And in this future moment, you're doing something that's going to leave you a little bit vulnerable. You're stepping up in some way. You're speaking about your goals or your dreams in some way. Maybe you're speaking about yourself and who you help and what you do as a coach, as a therapist, as a practitioner, whatever you do for a living. Maybe in this future picture, you're asking for a raise. And just see yourself there like you could freeze the video of this future moment and see yourself in that moment. And it's like everyone freezes and time slows down for you. Like you could kind of stop time and step in. So what is that version of you? How is that future version of you? What is it worrying about? What is it fearing? What is it holding? What is it carrying? What is it trying to contain as far as fear or worry or bracing for something, or maybe already angry and resentful? What is that version of you got roiling in it? That is going to impede this future moment. And just notice what you see. In a few minutes, I'd love to hear it on the chat if you can remember it. But we're going to jump in and start tapping again. There I am, the future me, feeling all of that just under the surface. All this fear, trying not to feel the fear, and all of these emotions, the what ifs that can make me feel more anxious or even sad. Or maybe I'm there bracing, like, I hope this doesn't fail. I hope I'm not disappointed. I hope people like me, which is revealing what I'm bracing for. Things that would be really hard. And maybe this future me has a lot of other feelings. Past frustrations. Ugh, big sound there. Blah. Past resentments. Past angers. Or even past losses. Grief. All this roiling emotion. And I feel how much is at stake, at risk for this future me. Yet there I am, trying to be composed and positive on the surface, but feeling all of that underneath. Okay, and take a breath, keep your eyes closed. And I want you to now imagine that since you've stopped time, you can step in like this, like amazing, like mentor into this picture with future you and say, I have stopped time. So we have all the time in the world. And now put your arm around them and take them on a series of journeys where you are going to say, I want, here we are looking up at this beautiful mountain. I want you to scream all of your frustration out and see this future you just screaming all their frustration out. even if there's horrible words to come out at other people, at God, at themselves, screaming all that out. And imagine that screaming goes on for like the sun goes down and now the sun's coming up. And that future you is like just getting done with the screaming. And now it's another day in this space. And you say, now I'm bringing you to this other beautiful space. And I want you to shake all of your fear out and see this future version of you shaking with fear, racked with fear, shaking, quivering like they're freezing cold. And just keep encouraging them to shake their body and shake it out. This nervous system, adrenaline, cortisol buzz. And just let them shake and shake. And the sun comes up and goes down again. And as they're done, you put this warm, soft blanket around them. And their whole body relaxes. This future you. And now lead them maybe to a campfire that's warm and inviting. And say to them, now it's time to cry. You know you need it. You know we need it. And then let the two of them cry. And sob. Sob for their life, sob for their ancestors, sob for their family, sob for their future, sob for everything they want, sob for everything they never got to have, sob for the people they love, sob for their community, sob for the world, sob for animals, sob for the planet, and days turn into nights. And see the two of you like twins supporting each other. And if it happens spontaneously in your imagination, you can bring in ancestors who are there to work with you in the light, or ascended masters who are there to work with you in the light. And see those energies. And then finally, the two of you arise from the fire, put the fire out, and walk on a beautiful walk in a place that you love, with lots of horizons, whether it's the mountains or the ocean, where there's a beautiful, beautiful horizon. And you call it a gratitude walk, an empowerment walk, a badass walk. And at the end of this walk, put your hands on this future you's shoulders and say, you've got this. You're friggin' amazing. You've got this. And now deliver them back into the same moment. No one else knows. Literally a week has gone by. But I want you to see that you step out of the picture and there is your future self. Nervous system, calm. Emotions, calm, centered, balanced. More clear, more thoughtful, And for them, time is now slowed down. The reactions are slower. Their thoughtfulness is deeper. Their intention coming into this moment is more clear, more visible. You actually see them say it out loud, regardless of the situation. My intention here is. They are more vulnerable and real and authentic. And they are more powerful, embodied, not perfect. There is no perfect, but real. Flaws and gifts, skills, experience, certainty about what they know, what they want. And see them step into that situation with a full, calm, composed, balanced set of nerves and emotions and intentions. And from the grief that was released in particular, see how open their heart can be, how undefended their heart can be. Because tears increase the field of your heart's energy. And then thank that future you for being so awesome, so courageous, so amazing. Okay, and take a breath. And come on back. Thank you, Kim. And so that mini journey, that's like a mini vignette of sometimes the work that we need to do or that our clients need to do. And when they come back into the moment, we come back into the moment, we show up differently. Yeah, we show up differently. Can you see now how in that future you, people around them would feel what you could call in our colloquial terms, a leadership energy? An energy, they might not even think authority, but they feel the energy of someone that is that grounded and calm and composed and clear on their intentions. Because when we have nothing to hide, we can be transparent on our intentions. Awesome. I like body tingles. Yeah. Yeah. Henriette said in the tapping, I felt how life-threatening it was to be rejected and ignored. Yeah, our logical brain does not think that that's really true. It's like, nah, I don't know. That's why I stopped dealing with people's conscious brains. It's like, I don't think so. It's a blind spot. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, well, welcome to your third chakra. I wanted to give you that little vignette because it really is a sort of a mini vision of all the different pieces of work that we do with people when we coach in this way, right? When we use the chakras in this way, we go through this process. And at the end, we are more grounded and more solid. And with the way that we show up in these kinds of situations that require leadership energy is with authority and leadership, right? And of course, on Thursday, we are going to do the heart chakra, whole different animal, because the heart chakra is the center. It's supposed to be running your life, not your first chakra. We're not supposed to live from our first chakra. We're supposed to have our heart in charge. And the heart is the seat of our wisdom. So it's a big, massive, powerful, universe changing energy. And we have to work on it specifically. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And don't forget, thank you, Bethany. She put the link there for those of you who want to learn. I'm doing a 4-part class on what does it mean, one on each chakra again. So it'll be a first chakra class, a second chakra, a third, and a fourth. What does it look like to work with people in this way? I call it chakra intuitive. When you sign up for that class, you will get this color-coded handout that we'll be working through class by class. So you understand what everything is there. You're going to understand what a portal is, what a chakra portal is, and why we use that. And what the assessment means in these different energies, and what the key thing to look for and focus on and do at each of the chakras as well. So it's 4 classes because it's a deep dive intensive. And when we're going to work with clients, that's what we want. We want to know how to do what we're doing in a very deep way. So I know I will see some of you there, but I will see you all on Thursday. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. We'll see you Thursday.